Hello po, good evening everyone. Can you see my slides? Kita po ba? Okay, thank you po. So, sige mag-on cam din ako. Okay, thank you. So, okay, good evening everyone. I am Michelangelo D. Arturo. I'm your lecturer for tonight's free review or as part of Upstep Review Center's Caravan. Okay? So, yung first reviewer ay si Sir Cesar, Biochemistry. Next ay si Sir Russell, Physical Chemistry. And ako naman ay Analytical Chemistry. Okay? But before we dive into the actual review proper, I think it's okay then to introduce myself first to all of you. Okay? Okay, so and I am Michelangelo D. Arturo. Currently, I am taking Master of Science in Agricultural Chemistry, and this sem is actually just my second semester in graduate school. I am taking this in UPLB. Okay, for my undergrad, I took Bachelor of Science in Chemistry, also from the same university. And in terms of being a registered chemist, I took and passed my board exams last November 2024. Well, I took the board exams November 2024, pero yung result ay December 2024 pa. Okay, so 2 years ago na. Okay, so currently I am an instructor, college instructor who handles courses in different fields of chemistry, such as general chemistry, analytical chemistry, organic chemistry, and biochemistry. Okay? So, ayun po yung... So, enough about me. Let's now go to our lesson proper. Okay? So, sabi ko kanina ay kung sila Sir Cesar, Sir Russell ay biochem and phychem, ako naman po ay analytical chemistry. Okay? So specifically in analytical chemistry, ang gusto kong i-focus natin today is mass spectrometry. Okay? So if you have take a look into the table of specifications no dun sa analytical chemistry, under ng ANACHEM yung mga instrumentation, yung MS, IR, UV-Vis, and as such. So although part din to ng curriculum ng organic chemistry, well sa undergrad ko. So nag-overlap sila doon. Okay? So I will discuss specifically the basics of mass spectrometry, the block diagram of a standard mass spectrometer, and then how to interpret MS results and some practice problems, of course, kasi nga sa board exams puro tanong yun. So it's very helpful na okay tayo sa test taking abilities natin. So may practice tayo later, okay? Okay, so before we dive into actual mass spectrometry, may share lang ako. Kasi if you have been updated sa news, no, our NASA astronauts were able to conduct their lunar flyby mission around the moon. So last April 10, they were able to perform this perfect touch splashdown sa Pacific Ocean noong April 10. Okay, so final ko talaga to sobra kasi sobrang fascinated ako sa space exploration due to Artemis 2 mission. Okay? So this Artemis 2 mission's goal is to check for the first time ever what it looks like doon sa far side of the moon kasi never natin yung nakita. So for the first time ever ay nakita na natin yung far side of the moon. This is by the help of our 4 astronauts, Jeremy Hansen, Victor Glover, Reid Wiseman, and Christina Koch. Okay? So, since successful na yung Artemis 2, ano nang next step ng NASA? The Artemis 3 na. The Artemis 3 will not land on the moon. Artemis 3 is just a rehearsal nung docking mechanism natin for the moon. And then yung Artemis 4 pa yung maglaland sa moon. Okay, so why am I talking about this? Because this is actually just short-term goal or short-term missions of NASA because our long-term goal ng NASA o ng humanity then is we want to go to, ang goal natin ay Mars. Mars is our main goal. Okay? Or our long-term goal. Kasi, so ang ginagawa natin sa Artemis missions right now is para siyang rehearsal lang or practice such that we can gather enough information para alam natin yung gagawin to make it to Mars safe and conduct experiments there. But the thing is, since hindi pa tayo nakaput ang Mars, does that mean wala pa tayong idea at all what it's like, what the Martian environment looks like, kung meron bang life doon? No, actually, to perform that we have sent a lot of rovers already in Mars. Okay? So yung rovers is yung nag-send tayo ng robot doon. Okay, so specifically, ang iset ko dito is the Curiosity rover natin sa Mars. Okay? So our Curiosity rover's main goal is to answer this question, our million-dollar question, which is there life on Mars? So as of now, wala pang nakikitang conclusive evidence which will say, yes, there is life on Mars. But since wala pa, edi meron tayong follow-up question. Was there life on Mars? So ang goal naman natin right now is i-check kung meron bang precursors or prehistoric precursors which will or which might give a hint or clues na merong life before sa Mars. Okay? So, balik tayo kay Curiosity rover. Si Curiosity rover ay obviously may siyang camera kaya siya nakakapag-transmit ng images sa atin sa Earth right now. But aside from the camera, did you know that there are also a lot of instruments found here in this tiny rover? So inside this Curiosity rover is actually a laboratory. So ang galing mo ng mga engineers natin. Nag-devise tayo ng laboratory na small scale para kasya siya dito sa Curiosity rover natin. Okay? Ang tawag doon ay Sample Analysis at Mars or SAM. So let's say papublish yung NASA ng balita na according to Curiosity rover's SAM, this is the findings. So ito yon, Sample Analysis at Mars ay yung tawag sa mini laboratory inside our Curiosity rover. Okay? So ano yung mga instrument found in the Curiosity rover? Okay, number 1, tunable laser spectrometer, and this detects isotopes. Number 2, a gas chromatograph. This separates the components. And number 3, tatlo po ang laman ng SAM. So ano ba yung lesson natin today? So obviously, dun saan ako pupunta dito? Meron tayong quadruple mass spectrometer dito sa ating maliit na Curiosity rover na to. Okay? So ang goal ng mass spectrometer is to fragment the molecule and then be used as a reference sa ating library or standard spectrums ng ating compounds. Okay? So ang tanong, sir, meron na bang result? Meron na ba nakitang good result according sa analysis ng SAM ni Curiosity rover? Actually, yes, there were actually compelling results found already by this sample analysis at Mars. Here is the sample result. Okay, so this result galing to mismo sa research paper published by NASA. Okay, sample comparisons reveal a compelling result. Okay, sige, i-zoom ko. Yun, zoom pala. So this is a mass spectrum. So ito yung result ng isang mass spectrometer analysis. Mass spectrometric analysis. Okay? So the red one are the peaks from the sample which came from Mars. So Cumberland daw to, ito yun. Site siya dun sa Mars. Okay? And then the black one is the peaks from our literature fragments according to NIST. So NIST yung ginagamit ng NASA pang compare nung sample sa standards. Okay, so NIST stands for National Institute of Standards and Technology. So yun yung ginagamit ng NASA. Okay, and anong relevance ng result na to? We have found a perfect match. So yung black one ay pag sinuperimpose natin dito sa red one, ay ano yung result? Meron siyang perfect match sa chlorobenzene. Chlorobenzene na ito yung literature chlorobenzene, may perfect match daw yung sample from Mars. So what does that imply in the grand scheme of things? So ano naman kung merong chlorobenzene? We know that chlorobenzene or benzene na lang, what do we know about that? What do we know about benzene? Pwede pong mag-comment. So ano naman kung may benzene? Anong kayong relevance na? Para interactive tayo. Okay. Sige, hintayin ko na lang. Okay, so, pero tuloy na ako. So, chlorobenzene, okay, that is an organic molecule. And although this does not definitively prove that merong life sa Mars, this proves that we confirm that organic compounds can survive the harsh Martian environment. Kasi the fact na nakakita tayo doon ng benzene, ibig sabihin kaya pala ng organic molecule mag-survive there. Mag-survive doon. And that is a big deal. That is a big result. Kasi gagawin natin itong foundation para ma-build natin yung puzzle into fully knowing kung paano nabuo yung or kung paano ba mag-survive tayo potentially sa Mars. Okay? Actually, no, this is an old result. Nag-release yung NASA like 5 days ago lang, April 21 yun I think, na meron din daw new result from our rovers there na meron ding nitrogen heterocycle na nakita. So anong relevance ng nitrogen heterocycle? Anong muna yung nitrogen heterocycle? Nitrogen na part ng isang ring ng cyclic structure. So ano namang relevance nun? That could be a potential precursor or prehistoric precursor sa ating nucleic acids. And important key ano din yun, key result as of, in the same way dito sa ating chlorobenzene. Okay? So ayun, marami tayong nakukuhang data using our rovers from Mars. Okay? So using mass spectrometry, again, we confirm that organic compounds can survive the harsh Martian environments. Okay? So let us now move sa mass spectrometry. Okay? Mass spectrometry is a technique used to identify an unknown compounds, number one, molecular mass, elemental composition, and chemical structure. Okay? So kaya natin definitively nasabing may chlorobenzene kasi nag-perform tayo ng mass spectrometric analysis and ayun yung application niya na determine natin yung molecular weight and perfect match siya sa chlorobenzene and then na-determine din natin yung fragments. And perfect match din siya. By the way, this definition is lifted from Skog et al. Okay? Okay. So sa amin or nung college ako, ang way na pagkakaturo ng instrumentation is that, eto, sasabihin mo na yung definition obviously, and then pupunta naman muna sa block diagram para ma-visualize kung paano nagwo-work, saan i-inject yung sample, ano nangyari inside the instrument, and then paano lumalabas yung data, paano siya nare-receive ng detector, and mapunta sa readout system and as such. Kasi no, sa amin, sa college ko, ay unfortunately wala kaming access sa MS. So, pero thankful pa rin ako kasi medyo solid yung pagka-discuss ng instrumentation and block diagrams. Kasi aside from, yes, wala akong physical experience with mass spec, ay okay, at least medyo mas na emphasize na lang yung theory behind the technique or the instrumentation. Lalo na important yung sa boards kasi the board exams can ask very technical questions. Okay? Okay, so punta na tayo sa block diagram. Okay, so ito ang typical block diagram ng mass spectrometer. Specifically, ang ating mass analyzer here, itong brown, ay magnetic sector. Kasi yung kay Curiosity rover ay hindi yun ganito, quadruple. Kaya quadruple mass spectrometer yun na kay Curiosity rover. Ito ay magnetic sector mass spectrometer. Okay? So, start na natin. Meron tayong sample which has to be vaporized first. And then it will be subjected to some ionization techniques. And then it will be accelerated via use of electric field. And then para siyang mas slingshot, ibabato siya papunta dito sa curved part ng ating diagram, which is the mass analyzer. And then finally, the fragments one by one will reach our detector, amplifier, chart recorder, and readout system. Doon natin makikita yung result kanina. Okay? So, notice medyo ano yan, that's a lot to process. So, gawin natin bite size yung pag-absorb ng information. Okay, dito muna tayo sa square. Okay? So, our sample first has to be in the vapor phase. So, bakit kailangan? Number one, this is to prevent clumping. Kasi our ions should be separated talaga from each other. Kasi kapag clump yung ions natin, tapos dire-diretso siya doon sa detector, messy, number one yung result. Number two, mahihirapan tayong i-compare against a literature mass spectrum yung ating result kapag hindi in the vapor phase. Okay? And number two, this allows it to be ionized easily. Okay? Number two, our next part, our sample is ionized. So magdi-discuss din ako ng different ionization techniques sa mass spectrometer. Okay, so sir, bakit ba kailangan i-ionize? Yung vaporize, okay na tayo doon. Vaporize na. Next, ionize. What do we mean by ionization? Lalagyan natin siya ng charge. Okay? So for this, for mass spectrometry ay iba-iba yung techniques. Pwedeng ibobombard natin. Let's say ito yung sample. Ibobombard natin to ng electron such that merong may eject na electron from the sample. So kapag electron deficient na yung sample, edi ano ng charge na? Positive. Okay, positively charged na siya. Edi pwede na siyang ma-read ng mass spectrometer. Okay? So isettle na natin right now. A mass spectrometer can only read charged molecules. Okay? Which is why kailangan nating i-ionize. Again, as a mass spectrometer can only read charged molecules. Additionally, kapag kasi hindi charged, ay magulo yung effect ng electric field. As opposed to charged, ay mas kayang itulak ng electric field yun papunta sa mass analyzer. Okay? So, key requirements is that number 1 should be vaporized. Number 2, it should be ionized. Okay? Ano bang next na to? Okay, meron ako dito this animation na ginawa ko para mas ma-visualize din. For example, tayo si Curiosity Rover. Ang gagawin natin, kukuha tayo ng rock or ng sample. Obviously, solid yon. Solid yung surface ng Mars. So, kukunin niya yung solid. Ay, hindi pala nakita. Hindi ko rin pala nasabi. Meron siyang kamay, si Curiosity Rover. So, para lang siyang robot. May kamay siya, hindi ipapasok niya sa sarili niya. And then, di ba kailangan vaporize? Our sample right now is not vapor. Kailangan natin itong i-vaporize. So does that mean meron ding machine si Curiosity Rover para ma-vaporize? Yes. Aside from the SAM, yung tatlo, meron din siyang oven. So ang galing ng engineers and scientists talaga natin. Kasi napagkasya natin yung lahat dito sa Curiosity Rover bago natin siya palaparin sa Mars. Okay? Meron siyang oven inside. Okay, so ito yung heat. Ininit natin until vapor na. Okay? Let these red spheres what you call this, be the vapor samples or samples in the vapor phase. Okay? Next, anong next ng vaporization? That would be, ano sabi dito? Ionization. So, itong vapor natin ay vapor lang yan, pero wala yung charge. Again, hindi yan kayang i-read ng mass spectrometer. Okay? So, let's say ito yung laser natin. Mamaya ay i-discuss din natin yung different lasers, different ionization techniques rather. How do we make our sample charged? So notice, meron akong dinro dito ng dalawang path. So does not mean magkaiba sila ng reaction na mangyayari. Yes, possible yan. Okay. Yung isang vapor molecule natin ay, notice, red remained red. That means hindi nag-fragment yung ating molecule. When we say fragment, hindi nabasag. Okay, so ito isang molecule, kapag ni-laser, pwede kasing mabasag. Due to energy, ang taas ng kinetic energy na yun, mag-vibrate yung bonds. So, pwede siyang mabasag. But here, hindi siya nabasag. But anong nangyari sa kanya? Yung red sphere natin ay naging red sphere pa rin with a plus charge or naging charge. Ayun lang yung effect ng ionization technique na to this sphere. Next, ano kaya yung effect dun sa other sphere or sa other vapor sample? Ayan, nagbago na. The red is no longer red but rather two small molecules, two small ions of blue and green. Okay, so ito yung example ko na na-break, nag-fragment, or na-cut, na-chop yung molecule natin into smaller pieces or compounds. Okay, so dito pala sa mass spectrometry, ang ating term dun sa nabasag ay fragment. Okay? That is a fragment of this bigger compound. Okay? Fragments. Okay, so i-review natin, vaporize natin, and then inionize natin. Some were fragmented, whereas some were unfragmented. Okay, okay na ba tayo dito sa first part? Pahingi nga ako ng reacts. Gets na ba yan? Hingi po reacts. Okay, okay. Thank you. Yan. Maganda interactive para ano lang, nag-uusap lang gano'n. Okay, then na tayo sa first part. Punta naman tayo sa second part ng ating block diagram. Okay, dito naman tayo doon sa atong brown to, di ba? Brown part ng ating diagram at yung mass analyzer niya. Okay? Ano naman nangyari dito? According here, fragments are sorted according to their mass. Okay? So, i-zoom in ko lang. Pwede ba mag-zoom? Ayun. So, ito yung fragments natin kanina. Kumbaga, ginawa ko yung animation in relation to this diagram. Yung red, ito yung bigger fragment. Yung green, ito yung intermediate fragment. Yung blue, ito yung very small fragment lang. In this particular example, only the green fragment reached the detector. Okay? Meanwhile, the red fragment collided with the outer wall and the blue fragment collided with the inner wall. Okay? So, ayan, sinabi pala. Heavier fragments go straight into the outer wall. Like the red one, yan. Diretso dito. And then, ano sabi? While very light fragments hit the inner wall. Okay. So, meron din ako animation. Ginawa ko to. Okay. So, nung nag-aral kasi ako ng analytical chem, kahit nung college pa, helpful yung animation. Para ma-visualize mo. Kasi yung diagram can only help you so much. Pero yung animation, mas maganda siya. Okay. So, yung red fragment is yung heavy fragment. Kita naman is base size. So, yung green, intermediate, blue, yung small fragments. Okay. So, at this part of the MS instrument, yung red fragment will collide to the outer wall, the blue fragment will collide to the inner wall, whereas the green fragment will go to the detector. Okay. My big question now is, if only one fragment makes it to the detector, why do we see a lot of fragments in the result? Can you comment? Ano kayang reason? Ito ka ba yung comment? Parang hindi. Kung graduate na or kung hindi pa kayo nag-aanakem or kung nag-aanakem or kung nag-aanakem na kayo nung college, sige nga, bakit kaya? Hindi ko nakikita yung comments. Okay? Sige, ako na sasagot. So if only one fragment makes it to the detector, why do we see a lot of fragments in the result? For example, ito yung result ng NASA. Bakit ang daming fragments kung isa lang naman pala? Okay, so ito, may small fragment here, and big fragment. Actually, the term should be heavy, no? Heavy fragment, ito, heavier fragment, not big. Okay, kasi medyo vague yung big. Okay, so bakit ang daming fragments kung isa lang naman pala? That's because our mass spectrometric instrument actually performs a voltage scan. What I mean by that is that iniiba niya yung voltage niya such that all fragments will eventually reach the detector. Okay, so sige, i-visualize din natin kasi mahirap pag ayan. Pag verbal lang, ayan. We change the voltage altering the electric field which pushes the fragments. Sige. Ano daw, hindi ko guess. Kaya ayan, may animation tayo. Okay? So what if high yung voltage? High voltage provides the sweet spot voltage for heavier fragments to reach the detector. Kumbaga, pag high voltage, mabibigyan siya ng enough energy para mag-curve. Perfect yung curve niya. So, tingnan natin. So, ayan. Perfect yung curve ng heavy fragments. Ano naman kayang effect ng high voltage na to smaller fragments? Or to lighter fragments? Ayan. Notice, pumunta sila dun sa wall. Saang wall? Outer inner wall. Sa inner wall sila pumunta. That's because they are too light for this high voltage environment. Kumbaga, masyadong mataas yung voltage, therefore, masyadong mataas yung nabigay na energy para mag-curve. E di, papunta sila straight to the wall. Okay? So at this particular option in the instrument, yung heavy fragment lang yung nakakarating. All fragments make it to the detector too. Okay? Punta naman tayo sa low voltage. So, ano kayang hunch dito? Pag low voltage naman, yung ating heavier fragments, red and green, do not possess the enough energy para mag-curve kasi ang low lang yung voltage eh. So, hindi siya nakakapag-curve. Eh, di nagko-collide lang siya naman doon sa outer wall. But, this is the sweet spot voltage for our light fragment. Dumediretso lang sa detector. Okay? So, ang ating conclusion is that all fragments therefore make it to the detector too. Okay? So, ayan. Magandang solid yung background mo sa theory talaga. Kahit ito, instrumentation to. Maganda yun para, kasi maraming pwedeng tanong or way of asking sa boards. Pero kung solid naman yung theory mo, kahit anong way of asking pa yan, kung hindi naman nagbabago yung science, hindi naman nagbabago yung instrumentation, hindi naman nagbabago yung block diagram. Okay? So, kaya mong sagutin yan kasi gets mo na yung theory or yung principles behind. Okay? Okay. Think we're now done sa ating mass spec block diagram. We can now move, I believe, sa ating mass spectrum. Okay? Or how to interpret mass spectrum. So mass spectrum, again, ito yung graph showing the result of a mass spectrometric analysis. Okay. So, ang gamitin ko na example din is yung mismong result ng NASA. No? There are 3 key peaks to take a look into or to observe kapag nag-interpret tayo ng isang mass spectrum. Okay? Number 1 is the molecular ion peak denoted by M plus peak. Okay? So, ano yung M plus peak? Sabi dito, ito daw yung unfragmented molecule. When we say unfragmented, by the adjective itself, hindi nag-fragment. Na-vaporize, check. Na-ionize, check. Pero hindi na-fragment. Okay? Iba po ang ionization sa fragmentation. Fragmentation, babasagin mo yung bonds. Yung ionization, nag-kick out ka lang ng electron such that magiging, charge yung ating molecule. Okay? So, for chlorobenzene, ang molecular ion peak niya daw can be found in 112 and this is the characteristic molecular weight ng chlorobenzene talaga. Kaya kapag gusto mong malaman yung molecular weight ng sample mo, doon ka titingin sa pinakamabigat or sa molecular peak ng mass spectrum. Okay? Next peak. Okay. Another peak that you should know about is what we call base peak. This is the tallest peak in the spectrum. Okay, when we say tallest, ibig sabihin, siya yung, ano ba yung y-axis natin dito? Dito, na relative MS response yung ginawa ng NASA. Dinata treatment nila to ng ganito. Pero, in usual mass spec, ano yung nasa y-axis? Ano yung dinedenote nun? Can you comment? Ano yung nasa y-axis ng isang mass spectrum? Okay, ang y-axis ay relative abundance or gaano karami yung isang fragment relative to the other fragments. Kaya siya relative abundance, not just abundance. Okay? So for this one, ang base peak niya daw can be found around here. So ito ay 60, ito ay 80, ito ay 70. So 2, 4, 6, 8. So around 77 mass to charge ratio ang base peak ng chlorobenzene daw. So since nga base peak siya, ayun yung tallest peak, ayun yung pinakamadaming fragment. So we can also say that that fragment is the most stable fragment. Okay? Paano nasabing most stable? Marami lang naman. That's because, di ba, finfragment, inionize natin, and then during ionization, that is the time where magka-fragment na yung molecule. So kapag nag-fragment siya, tapos maraming ganong type of fragments, ibig sabihin, siya yung pinaka-stable fragment kasi hindi na siya nagpa-fragment further. Okay, doon na siya, kahit anong laser mo pa dyan or ionization technique, hindi na siya magka-fragment. Kasi stable enough na siya para ma-resist yung further fragmentation. Okay? Kaya ang ating base peak is our most stable fragment. Okay? Lastly, ito ay maganda rin itong tingnan to check elemental composition. Although meron tayong other technique to check elemental composition like energy dispersive X-ray, XRF, mga ganun. Pero ang mass spec, this can also help confirm kung meron bang, for example, chlorine or bromine atom yung ating unknown molecule. Okay? The molecular ion isotope peak is denoted by M plus 1 or M plus 2 or M plus 4 and etc. Okay? Saan natin to nakikita? So, according here, this is found here beside the molecular ion peak. Okay? Yung M plus peak ay iba sa M plus 1 peak. Okay? Excuse me? So, the molecular ion isotope peaks exist due to heavier isotopes. Kasi, di ba, alam natin that nakalagay din kasi sa periodic table, di ba? Yung carbon 12, 12.01 ang molecular weight ng carbon based sa ating periodic table. But actually, no, only 98.9% of carbon atoms are carbon-12. Meron tayong 1.1% na nag-exist as carbon-13. So, nagmamanifest yon sa ating mass spectrum. Nakikita natin yung +1 peak. Okay? Meanwhile, here's a result, no? 112 tapos naging 140. Hindi yung +1, sir, +2 yun. That's because this M+2 peak is characteristic of the chlorine atom attached to our sample pala. Okay, so ayun yung interpretation ng pag-extract ng elements using mass spectrum. Okay? So, yung chlorine naman natin ay roughly 75% exists as chlorine-35 and roughly 25% exists as chlorine-37. Okay? Next, yung bromine naman, ano kayang ratio na itong bromine na to? Do you have any idea? Comment naman po. Kung ang chlorine ay 3:1 kasi 75:25, ano kaya yung bromine? Bromine 79 versus bromine 81. Ano kaya ratio nila? In terms of how they exist. May idea? Okay, so sabihin ko na ang ating bromine 79 and bromine 81, this exists na 1:1 yung ratio, no? So yung bromine 79, 50% or 51, I believe. And then yung bromine 81 ay 49% or roughly 50-50 sila. So pag merong bromine, yung molecule mo ay meron kang M+2 peak na almost tie with each other in terms of abundance. Okay? Ayan, nagpakita rin ako dito. Ito yun, yung sinasabi kong y-axis is relative abundance, x-axis ay mass to charge ratio. Okay, so this is the literature mass spectrum of ethylbenzene. Sabi dito, ang molar mass daw ng ethylbenzene ay 106. Therefore, expected natin sa molecular ion peak, dapat 106 yan. Okay, meron tayong nakita, 106. And then, since chlorobenzene, we know that it is just composed of carbon and hydrogen atoms. So wala siyang +2 or +4. Ang meron siya ay +1 peak, di ba? Kasi 1.1% of carbon atoms ay carbon-13. So ay nagpapakita siya dito. So ito yung 106 molecular ion peak. Zoom ko nga. Yun. And then ito naman yung M+1 peak, 107. Okay? Asan naman yung base peak dito? Pa-comment nga kung gets. Kung ito yung molecular ion peak, ito yung molecular ion isotope peak, nasa yung base peak? Ay, sinabi pala. The base peak here ay 91. Okay? Notice that the base peak is placed at the 100% relative abundance kasi nga yung base peak, yung ginagawa nating basis for all the other fragments. Okay? So relative yung existence na to natong molecular ion peak, for example, relative yan sa base peak. Okay? So kung 100% yung base peak, sige, interpret nga natin. Di yung molecular ion peak ay around ano lang, 2030, around 32% relative abundance lang yung molecular ion peak niya. Okay? Clear ba tayo? Doon na ba ito? Okay, clear po ba tayo how to interpret mass spectrum? Pahingi naman ulit ng reacts. Okay. Thank you sa mga nag-reacts. Okay, that means a lot kasi yan, nakikita ko na I'm not alone here. Okay? Thank you. Next, punta na tayo sa practice problems. Essentially, ito yung pinakakailangan mo. Kasi nga sa board exam, wala namang explanation, wala namang drawing the block diagram doon, wala namang essay. Ang board exam ay mulcho lang lahat. So, kailangan mag-practice ka ng practice ng magsagot. Okay? But on top of that, ay kailangan mag-dedicate ka rin ng time into absorbing theories lang. Yung nag-absorb ka lang, hindi ka nagsasagot. Okay? Kasi anong basis ng pagsagot mo kung wala kang ina-absorb in the first place or nire-review in the first place, right? Okay, sige, mag-start na tayo. Okay, so meron ako ditong time na ipi-play ko parang para interactive, no? So, question number 1, what is the primary reason why high vacuum is maintained within a mass spectrometer? Okay, so pa-comment po ng answers. Although I can't seem to see your comments. Siguro natatakpan lang ako dito. Na-play ko na yung time. What is the primary reason why high vacuum is maintained within a mass spectrometer? Okay, time's up. Raise your boards. Pax ba to? Parang quiz bee. Okay, ang correct answer po natin ay letter C, to prevent collisions with air molecules. Kasi ano ba meaning ng vacuum? Wala dong air or wala dong matter at all, whether gaseous or what. So, ang explanation here ay collisions with air molecules such as nitrogen and oxygen kasi our atmosphere is dominantly nitrogen, right? And oxygen. These molecules may neutralize, number 1, and induce fragmentation. So, sinasabi natin dito ay prevent collision because it may neutralize or it may induce fragmentation. Ibig sabihin, this neutralization and fragmentation pala is bad to our sample, no? Bakit nga? Why do we not want our ions to be neutralized? Okay. Why do we not want it to be neutralized? Kasi, bakit? Kasi our mass spectrometer can only read charged molecules, okay? So, kailangan charged siya. The moment na ma-neutralize yan, hindi siya mariread ng ating mass spectrometer. Yung result natin ay hindi natin nababangga sa theoretical or sa library result. Okay? Additionally, collisions with air molecules may further induce fragmentation. This is also bad because the library fragmentation patterns are already fixed in such a way that kapag nag-fragment ka using nitrogen and oxygen on top of your ionization technique, iba na yung fragments nun. Diba? So parang mag-i-introduce ka ng other fragments. Di mahirap yun i-defend sa result mo. O anong reason bakit may ganun kang fragment? Di ba nga ang goal mo is ma-determine yung identity. So mas madali mong ma-defend yun kapag perfect fit. Magkapatong talaga yung literature result at sa result. Okay? Kaya ayaw natin na ma-neutralize, ayaw natin mag-fragment. Okay? Clear po ba to? Thumbs up naman. Okay na ba tayo sa question number 1? Okay. Thank you. Okay? Kaya vacuum po ang mass spec. Next question. In a standard electron ionization mass spectrometer, what is the typical energy of the electron beam used to ionize the sample? In a standard electron ionization spectrometer, what is the typical energy of the electron beam? Okay, time's up. Your answer, the correct answer is 70 electron volts lang. Okay? This energy is already sufficient enough to overcome the ionization potential of most organic compounds. In other voltages, it would be difficult to get a match because key fragments may be missing. Again, ito yung ina-emphasize ko kanina pa. Gusto natin per maganda yung fragments kasi kapag maganda yung fragments, edi mas madadalian tayong i-compare sa library result, library fragmentation patterns. Okay? Balik tayo dun sa choices. So, yung 70 yung correct answer. Yung 10 electron volts, ano kayang problem na mag-a-arise kapag 10 electron volts lang yung energy ng ion? Ano kaya? Ayan, nakikita ko na yung sagot nyo. Di lang ako marunong. Okay, thank you, thank you. Not enough energy to ionize. Okay? So kapag ganun, pag not enough energy, di hindi magka-fragment yung molecule mo. Pag hindi nag-fragment, di mahihirapan ka ulit ibangga sa literature fragmentation pattern. Or, kung hindi mo naman goal mag-fragment, ang goal mo lang ma-ionize, kung ganito kababa, hindi ka makakapag-kick out ng electron. Okay? Okay, okay na tayo sa B. Ano naman tong C and D? Why are these not typically used? 100 to 500 electron volts. Ano naman kaya yung problem dyan? Kapag 100 to... Okay, thank you. Kapag 100 to 500 electron volts, that energy is too much. Okay? Therefore, your molecule will fragment so many times. Kumbaga, i-risk mo na masira yung molecular ion peak. Kumbaga, wala ka ng basis. Hala, ano yung molecular ion peak na to? Ano yung molar mass ng compound na to? Wala, hindi mo makikita. Kasi nga, you call this, masyadong mataas yung energy na fragment mo silang lahat. Okay? Okay, sige. Next question. Which of the following ionization techniques is most appropriate for determining the molecular weight of a large non-volatile protein? Go. Okay. Which of the following ionization techniques is most, sige, pa-comment po para interactive tayo, is most appropriate for determining the molecular weight of a large non-volatile protein? Hindi ko pala na-click, no? Ayan. Tignan sa 10 seconds. Manual pala kiniklik yung time. Okay, thank you. So thank you sa mga nag-comments. Correct answer is B, MALDI. Okay? MALDI enables the measurement of a protein's full molecular weight by ionizing the sample gently lang, thus preventing it from shattering into fragments. Okay? Sige, balik muna tayo dun sa tanong. So, hala sir, bakit naman ano kasi, ano nga yun? Naka-acronym yung choices. Super possible na ganyan lumabas sa boards. So, kailangan aral ka rin, not just sa concepts, but ito, sa mga acronyms na yan. EI, ano meaning ng EI, MALDI, CI, ICP? Kailangan alam mo yan kasi super possible na ganyan yung ibiginin ng choices. Okay? Kaya yung train din na ko kayo doon, namin kayo doon. So, MALDI daw, this prevents the fragmentation nung ating sample kasi gusto natin makita yung molecular weight lang. Okay? Sige. Kung medyo bago pa yung MALDI to some of you, check ko nga kung... Some of you, we will discuss this naman. Okay? Okay. So, MALDI, okay. May tanong no, ano daw meaning ng MALDI? Ang meaning ng MALDI ay, may makakasagot ba sa kanya, sa comments? Matrix-assisted laser desorption ionization. Hindi ko pala dinefine kahit sa next slide. MALDI ako ng MALDI. Okay, practice yan sa inyo na alam yung acronyms. Okay? Matrix-assisted laser desorption ionization. Okay? So, ganito yung nangyayari sa MALDI. ang dami, no? So, i-zoom ko muna dito. Ay, i-define pala muna natin yung variables. Let the orange circles be the analyte and the green circles be the matrix spots. Okay? So, ang una natin ginagawa ay meron tayong plate where we placed our matrix spots. Ayun muna, plate, matrix spot. And then, nag-a-add tayo ng orange or yung analyte. Plate, matrix spot, analyte, analyte, analyte. Okay, so notice na nasa taas yung analyte before yung matrix. And then, we will wait na mag-cool or mag-settle muna siya. And then, kapag okay na, mag-irradiate na natin to ng laser beam. Okay? Upon irradiation, a desorption phenomenon will happen or may matatanggal. Okay? So, sige, let's say, ito yung natanggal to nasa gitna. Pag natanggal yan, via this laser beam, ganito yung magiging itsura. Parang siyang micelle, no? Or yung tag micelle kung doon kayo sa biochem. Yung ating analyte ay nasa gitna. And then, the matrix spots create a wall. Para siyang may protection doon sa from the outside. Kumbaga, meron tayong analyte and then matrix spots. And then, next is that i-ionize naman natin yung analyte. Kasi again, kailangan sa mass spectrometer ay vaporized and ionized. Okay? So dito, pinakita, saan naman manggagaling yung charge? Manggagaling daw yung charge dito. Green going to orange, therefore our green spots or our matrix pala are proton donors. Okay? So, meanwhile, yung ating analyte ay proton acceptors. Okay? So, pwede na to. Pwede na tong pumasok ng mass analyzer and then eventually detector kasi number one, na vaporize na natin siya via this mechanism and number two, charged na siya. Okay? So, ito yung ginagamit kapag protein, no? Kasi kapag nilaser mo yung protein lang, super possible na masisira mo yon. Pag nasira mo yon, yung result mo ay hati, yung fragments. Hindi mo makikita yung molecular ion peak which represents the molecular weight. Okay? So, ito yung ginagamit, MALDI. Okay? Ayan, ito, I lifted this from Skoog as well. MALDI is just one ionization techniques out of others. So, marami tayong ionization techniques. Okay, isahin natin. So, itong electron impact, ito yung common as well. Ano naman yung nangyayari sa electron impact? Ito yung sample, binobombard natin siya ng electrons. Pag binobombard natin, ay merong matatanggal doon and then magiging charge siya at dahil ang energetic ng electrons, ma-fragment na. Okay? Chemical ionization naman, ano yung nagka-come in contact sa sample? Hindi electrons. Kaya nga chemical ionization. Chemical yung nagka-come in contact. Agent gaseous ions yung mag-come in contact mismo doon sa ating sample. Okay? Yung diniscuss natin right now ay MALDI. Ito yun. Matrix-assisted laser desorption ionization. Photons ang nagko-collide doon sa ating matrix plus analyte. Okay? So, edi successful na ionize at na-vaporize natin yung protein without fragmenting it in the process. Okay? Okay, next question. Related to dun sa question number 3. In MALDI mass spectrometry, what is the primary role of the matrix crystals during the laser blast? Okay. In MALDI mass spec, what is the role of the matrix crystals? I think sasabi ko rin pala tayo na sa yan. Kung nakikinig, anong role nun? Nag-stop yung time pag ginagalaw ko yung tab. Ganun pala. Okay, correct answer is D. Okay, thank you sa mga nag-answers. The matrix crystals act as shield that absorbs the laser energy. Okay, the matrix allows fragile biomolecules such as a protein or polypeptide chain to enter the gas phase intact by absorbing the energy of the UV laser. Kasi, di ba, balik na tayo sa MEC. Ayan, pinoprotect niya nung matrix spot yung ating analyte. Okay? And then, ay kapag nasa vapor phase na siya, ay i-protonate na siya, i-charge na siya. Okay? So, kanina ko pa sinasabi yung matrix compounds or matrix spots. I think it's also good to discuss ano ba yung sample or common compounds used as a matrix spot in MALDI. Okay? Here are common compounds used as matrix in MALDI analysis. Okay? I got this from Kim, 2015. Okay. So, sige, mention ko yung pinaka-common. Ang pinaka-common na nakikita ko based on the papers I've read, itong alpha cyano 4 hydroxycinnamic acid. And also, itong una pala, 2,5-dihydroxybenzoic acid. Okay, ito yung common compounds used in MALDI analysis. Okay? So, before I show the characteristic, kasi sinabi ko rin sa slide, pwede bang manggagaling sa inyo? Can you describe these compounds? Ano yung key similarity nila based on the structure? Ano yung similarity ng compounds ito? Why do we test of organic chemistry? Ano kaya yung key similarity nila? Bakit natin ginagamit tong compounds na to? Bakit hindi na lang normal compound, di ba? There should be a trend. There should be a reason why. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. So, the key feature is that aromatic siya or there is presence of conjugation. So, ano naman kung mayroong conjugation? Di ba? If you can recall our analysis, yung ating matrix spot ay yung nag-absorb ng laser energy. Okay? Kapag conjugated ka, di mas kaya mo yung i-absorb kasi meron kang delocalized electrons. Correct? Now, kung for example, aliphatic hydrocarbon lang yan or let's say decane, ganon. Hindi mo yan kaya. Mabe-break ka din, hindi mo na-protect yung ating analyte. Right? Okay, thank you sa mga nagsagot. Pero meron pa akong hinahanap. May isa pang key characteristic ang common compounds used as matrix in MALDI. Ano kaya yan? Apart from being an aromatic or presence of conjugation, ano pa yung key characteristic para magamit natin yung isang compound as matrix in MALDI? Go, hanap. Ayan. Check nyo yung structure. Okay, nakakuha na. Acidic. Thank you. Notice, di ba, our requirements, again, kanina pa i-emphasize, kailangan vapor, kailangan charged. So, let's say na-protect na natin and hindi na sa vapor phase na. Hindi pa rin niya madedetect ng detector kasi hindi charged. So, kanino mo kukunin yung charge na yon? Dito na lang mismo sa compound na to. No? So, ang galing na double purpose siya. It absorbs the energy and it provides the proton. Ayun, acidic siya. Ayan, ito, carboxylic acid, tapos yung iba rin, almost all may carboxylic acid. Kung wala man, edi meron siyang acidic hydroxyl group. Di ba? We know that phenol is acidic due to resonance stabilization of its conjugate base, yung phenoxide. So, acidic yan. Okay, so good na kayo yung galing sa inyo yung answers kasi nagagets ko, nakikita ko na we are on the same page. Okay, important yun. Thank you, yan. Gets nyo na, may new learning na yung common compounds pala na ginagamit sa matrix ay kailangan ayan, conjugated or aromatic or acidic siya. Okay, next. Move na tayo. In a standard tandem mass spectrometer, what is the primary purpose of MS1? Ay, nakamute pala ako. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Nagsastop yung timer kapag nag-click ako anywhere from the slide. Okay? Okay, so correct answer is I. Before I show the answer pala, no? Up until this point, we've only been talking about the normal mass spectrometer. However, common na rin, I guess, here sa Philippines sa ating sa advanced labs. Well, sa amin ay medyo malayo pa magkaroon ng tandem standard MSMS. Pero common na to sa advanced laboratories na gumagamit ng tandem mass spectrometer. Or since sinasabi tandem, edi dalawa yung mass spec. Dalawa yung mass analyzer. Okay? So I lifted this from Skog. Here's a block diagram of tandem mass spectrometer. So sige, i-zoom ko para sabay-sabay natin i-digest. So meron tayong sample and then i-ionize natin. Okay, gets na natin yan. Let these ions be the original ions. ABC+, ABCD+, ABCDE+. So in your original ions. Now, these 3 ions will be fed into the mass analyzer. Okay? So, yung tanong ko kanina ay MS1, no? Sino sir yung MS1? Kung may MS1, edi therefore may MS2. Yes. Dito, yung mass analyzer ay yung MS1, mass analyzer 1, MS2, mass analyzer 2. Okay, so siguro new learning. Kaya natin tinatawag na tandem mass spectrometer, which specifically yung nadoble or yung tandem. Ang nadoble is yung mass analyzer. Okay? So, yan. Meron tayong mass analyzer 1, mass analyzer 2. Kasi nung undergrad daw, ang niisip ko, mass spec, tas isa pang mass spec. After detector, ulit, ionization na rin. Pero hindi. Ang nadoble is yung mass analyzer component only. Okay? Sige, zoom natin dito. Ang lumabas sa MS1 ay out of these 3 ions, isa na lang. Yung ABCD plus na lang. Okay? Now, we denote this ABCD plus as our precursor or sometimes parent ion ang tawag dito. Parent ion, ABCD plus, and then this is fed into the interaction cell or collision cell. Okay? Hindi kasi sinabi dito anong nangyayari sa interaction cell, no? Pero as chemists, magaling tayo maghanap ng context clues or as chem majors, edi i-predict natin ano kayo nangyayari sa interaction cell via the products. Okay? Ano kayo nangyayari? Anong ginawa ng interaction cell sa ating precursor ions? Sige nga, pa-chat. Nakita mo ba? Sige, go, pa-chat mo. Anong role ng interaction cell na to? Kasi ito yung medyo bago, no? Kapag tandem mass spec, meron siyang ganyan. Okay, thank you. So, ang role niya is to fragment our precursor ions into smaller ions lang. And then, ito yung i-receive ng mass analyzer 2 or MS2. Tapos, ito yung i-detect ng ating spectrum, ng ating detector, and then i-reveal ng ating mass spectrum. Okay? So, sige, anong sagot? So, ano daw role ng MS1? Di C. Okay, nakita. Medyo ano pa ako. Kailangan ko mag-aral ng Google. Okay? The job is to select a specific precursor ion. Okay? The MS1 or the mass analyzer 1 isolates a specific MZ ratio or mass to charge ratio to pass through lang. Pipiliin ng analyst kung ano. Let's say, 100 mass to charge ratio lang. Di yung iba, hindi niya palalampasin. Yung 95 or 200, ganun. So, yung 100 na yun, ayun yung i-feed niya sa collision cell and then i-break down para naman sa mass analyzer 2 or MS. I think sinasagot ko yung next questions. Oo nga. Sige, question number 6. What is the role of the collision cell? Okay, thank you. So, correct na ko nyo naman, that means nakikinig. No? So, ayan, before pala ipakita yung answer, ito yung isang tandem mass spec din to. Okay? So, baka ma-intimidate ko. So, ito yung general. Pero kapag yung mass analyzer natin ay quadrupole, ito siya. Quadrupole. And then notice, meron ditong tatlong quadrupole. Kaya ang tawag dito ay triple, quadruple mass spectrometer, tandem mass spectrometer. Ang dami nung habang sinasabi. Ganun talaga ang analytical chem, no? Ang haba nung, what you call this, the nung name nung instrument kasi ang dami niyang sama-samang techniques. Okay? So, similarly, ito, sineselect yung fragment lang na palalampasin natin. Dito, gigilingin yung ions into fragments. Tapos ito, selection of fragments or yung detection of fragments. Na, okay. Letter B, this is to induce the fragmentation via CID or collisional-induced dissociation. Collision-induced dissociation. Okay? Thank you. Okay. Next question. Di ko pala nasabi, no? Pero sige, tanong. Hunch nyo muna. Why is argon or nitrogen preferred as the collision gas in Q2 rather than air? Similar din to sa tanong kanina naman. Why do we not like air sa ganitong method? Pilipin ko lang ulit sagot niya. Okay. Kinako naman. Okay, thank you. So, correct answer is B. Air may trigger unwanted oxidation reactions. Diba? Kung nag-biochem na rin kayo, nakita nyo na air is a very good oxidant or yung O2. Oxidant, ibig sabihin, kumukuha siya ng electron, no? Kasi reductant nagbibigay ng electron. So, pwedeng pag kumuha siya ng electron dyan, mas ma-fragment yung molecule. Kapag mas na-fragment, edi mas mababasag. Mahirap ng ibangga sa literature spectrum kapag meron kang additional fragments na nakita. Okay? Kaya natin ng air. Okay. Number 8. Punta naman tayo sa mass analyzers naman. Which mass analyzer operates by varying RF, radio frequency, and DC voltages to control ion trajectories? Okay? Sige, go. Hunch nyo lang. Or kung alam na to, go. Pasagot na rin. Yung mass analyzer daw na kinokontrol yung ion via trajectories. Okay. Okay, so correct answer is, di ko pa pala napakita nyo. Pinakita ko lang uli yung slide here na yung ating block diagram kanina. No? Again, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina pa. Ang magnetic sector mass analyzer operates via deflection kasi yan nagde-deflect papunta sa inner wall or outer wall. Meanwhile, kapag naman kinokontrol natin via ion trajectory, ang tawag doon ay quadrupole. Okay? Sige, i-break down natin to. As the name suggests, quadrupole means there are 4 rods within which the ion of interest will have to go through para makalampas siya. Kung mag-isipin nyo, may bridge munang dadaanan or makipot na dadaanan yung ion natin para makalampas and maka-reach nung detector natin. Okay, sige, i-adjust natin to. Itong DC and RF voltages, this induces or releases electric fields para makakontrol natin yung ion lang na lalabas. Sige nga, i-zoom ko. Yung pagdepict kasi ni Skog dito ay same color, no? Ang hirap tuloy i-differentiate. Sige, dito na lang tayo. Tingin tayo dito sa babang path. Okay? Dito sa babang path, sundan nyo lang yung cursor ko. Ayan. Ikot. Ayun, nakalampas siya. Ibig sabihin, at this specific option ng voltage natin ay pinapalampas lang natin yung specific ion na yon. Okay? Paano naman kung hindi? Di daan tayo dito sa upper path. Dito sa path na to, ayan. Ayan, nag-collide siya sa isang rod. The moment na mag-collide ka sa isang rod, mamamatay yung ion. Mamamatay. Mamamatay or mawawala ka na. Hindi ka makakarating ng detector. Okay? So, ganun yung way ng quadrupole para ma-separate or in a way, ma-filter yung ions from each other. Okay? So, meron akong notes dito. Only ions with stable path will be able to go through. Parang yung larong ganun sa mga perya ganun. Kailangan stable enough ka. Kung hindi ka stable, magko-collide ka dun sa rod. Okay? There are also other mass analyzers, no? hindi lang magnetic sector, hindi lang quadruple, meron pang iba. Okay, time of flight. So, itong time of flight ay, as the name implies din, no, we check or what do you call this? We filter out our ions according to the time it took for them to reach the detector. Dito, zoom ko nga to. Same lang to. Alam na natin to. Vaporization, alam natin yan. And then kailangan ionize. And then dito, electric field, the positive ions are accelerated. Alam na natin to. Dito, sa 1, 2, 3, third cavity or third portion nitong time of flight mass analyzer, wala ditong electric field at all. So kung wala, edi ano yung nagpo-push dun sa ions to move forward? Meron lang silang relatively equal kinetic energy. Okay? Pero meron pa rin silang distinguishing factor from each other, which is their masses, no? Kaya yung mabilis, edi maaga nakakarating, yung mabagal, edi yung mabigat, edi mabagal. Okay? Ions will get relatively equal kinetic energy. Therefore, ions with low mass to charge ratio arrive at the detector the fastest, and then yung high, ay, di ko nalagay yung high, no? Yung high ay yung slowest. So, ito yung third mass analyzer. Fourth, i-discuss ko ay orbit trap, no? Medyo physics to, pero ipasadahan ko lang din. No? Yung orbit trap ay, yung ion natin ay papasok. I-describe ko pala muna. Meron tayong outer electrode, inner electrode. Okay? Yung ions natin ay papasok somewhere here. Hindi siya na-visualize, no? And then, anong nangyayari sa kanya? Yung ions, kapag pinasok natin dito, they come at a very high velocity or mabilis. And then, itong inner electrode ay negatively charged. Okay? So, positively charged, negatively charged, ano mangyayari doon? Mag-a-attack sila with each other. However, hindi siya nagsistick, di ba? Based dito sa diagram, hindi nagsistick, sir. Pumasok lang, tas umikot-ikot. Kung normal charges lang, magsistick lang yan. Dapat nandito lang sa surface. But the thing is that, mabilis kasi yung ion, no? So, ino-orbit niya yung ating inner electrode, kaya orbit trap, no? Additionally, another key feature dito sa diagram, okay, no, as chem majors, that magaling tayo mag-interpret talaga ng diagram. Kasi enough story na dapat yan para mag-gets natin yung mechanism. Hindi, dito, yung pag-orbit niya ay hindi isang path lang. Parang, Earth tapos Moon. Di ba pag in-orbit tayo ng Moon, ay sa lang. Hindi naman siya gumagalaw. Dito, nag-iiba siya. Gumagalaw yung pag-orbit niya. Parang gumagalaw din siya sa axial side. So, ang tawag doon ay axial oscillation. So, ay sige, zoom out ko. Doon tayo doon sa nilagay ko dito. Ions are injected at a high velocity. Okay? Next, they don't crash to the inner electrode. They just orbit it. Next, ions also slide back and forth the inner electrode. Okay, hindi lang isang ganon, but rather nag-slide back and forth siya. Okay? It is this back and forth motion which generates a current. And therefore, this generates or determines the mass to charge ratio. Okay? So, dito gumagamit tayo ng Fourier transform or FTIR mechanism din para ma-detect yung mass to charge ratio. Okay? So, etong orbit trap, this is unique, no? Baka itanong to. Orbit trap is a unique mass analyzer because the ions of interest do not physically reach the detector. Kumbaga, parang pinapakinggan lang yung pag-oscillate ng ions na to, and kung mabilis, edi mababa yung MZ, mass to charge, kundi kung mabagal, edi mataas yung mass to charge. Okay? Ganun. So, itong orbit trap, ito ay non-destructive. I think sinagot ko na naman yung next tanong ko. Ay, last pa. Ion trap naman. Kung may orbit trap, ion trap. Dito, itatrap natin yung ions. Okay? Ang source ng ions ay this one. Dito siya galing. And then, meron tayong helium sa gitna. Notice no na yung araw ay papunta sa helium. Tapos yung ions natin ay positively charged. Right? Eh sir, di naman negatively charged yung helium. Bakit pupunta yung ions kay helium? Di ba? Neutral yon. The thing is, notice na itong surrounding walls niya ay this is a ring electrode radio frequency field. This generates radio frequency. So yung electric field around here ay i-force niya yung ions na mag-collide kay helium. Kaysa ayaw mo sa hindi, nagko-collide kay helium. Okay? Upon collision with helium, edi magka-fragment yung molecule or mababa yung kinetic energy niya. Okay? Kasi di ba mabilis, pag nag-collide ka so something na stationary lang, babagal ka. Kasi malilipat mo yung energy. Okay? Ions are forced to move randomly by the electric field, and then they crash against helium, either breaking them down into fragments or cooling them to improve resolution. Okay? Ayan, I think sinagot ko to. Ako nakikinig. Which of these analyzers is considered non-destructive? Talaga. Di ba? Medyo physics yung ibang explanation eh. Kaya, hopefully, ay medyo gets din. Okay, okay, thank you. So, kita ko naman na gets nyo. So, I think wag na natin bunuin yung 30 seconds na timer dito. Okay, orbit trap is a non-destructive analyzer. Sorry, ibig sabihin ba yung ibang analyzer ay destructive? Yes. Yung quadruple time of flight and ion trap, destructive yan kasi the moment na yung ion, pag dumating na yun sa detector, masisira na yan. Okay? Kaya hindi na natin siya nare-recover. Okay? So, yung orbit trap ay, ayan, ions do not physically reach the detector, only their current. So, for me, ang tinatawag ko dito sa orbit trap, or ang patandaan ko, ang orbit trap is the listening analyzer. Pinapakinggan lang nung instrument kung gaano kabilis mag-oscillate. And then, meron na tayong mass to charge ratio. Okay? Listening analyzer siya. That's how I make sense of it lang. Personally. Okay? Okay, next. During a collision-induced dissociation in ion trap mass analyzer, what is the primary source of the energy which fragments the molecule? Okay? So, bakit daw source of the energy? Paano na-fragment yung molecule sa ion trap? Ganyan yung ion trap. Ito yung may helium. O bakit siya nag-fragment? Dahil ba sa magnetic fields? Dahil sa kinetic energy converted to internal energy? Dahil sa UV lasers? Dahil sa heat? Okay, thank you. So, thank you sa mga active nating participants. Okay, correct answer is B, the kinetic energy converted to internal energy. What I mean here is that, di ba ito masyado siyang mabilis yung ion na pumasok? Kapag nag-collide siya dito sa helium, ay malilipat yung kinetic energy as internal energy. So, yung internal energy that exists between bonds, right? So, kapag napunta na sa bonds, edi yung bonds na yung maka-challenge or maka-compromise, edi pwede siya mag-break. Okay? So, ayan, medyo kailangan lang ng interpretation to answer this question pala. Ayan, eto. Now, okay na tayo sa instrumentation muna, no? Let's check kung marunong ba tayo mag-interpret ng mass spectrum. Okay, ito, madali lang. In a typical mass spectrum, madali muna tayo. What does the y-axis represent nga? Para sa yung y-axis? Okay, thank you. Thank you. So the y-axis represents the relative abundance of the ions. Again, so nakaset 100% yung base peak here, and the base peak is the most stable fragment. Tama ba, di? Okay, relative abundance. Okay. Next question. Oh, ayan. A mass spectrum shows a molecular ion peak at a mass to charge ratio of 0.56. And meron daw tayong nakitang M+2 peak naman na 158 with an intensity ratio of 3:1. Using these results, which element is likely present in the molecule? Sige, go. Digest nyo. Kasi, ayan, ito na ay evaluating kung marunong magbasa ng mass spectrum. Important na skill yan as a chemist or as a chem major. Okay, wala na habol. Okay, thank you. So the correct answer is B, chlorine. So notice na ito yung sinasabi ko na ang galing din ng mass spectrum in such a way na kaya niyang sabihin yung present na element. Hindi naman talaga siya used for that, no? Ang specific target or specific instrumentation for that ay yung sinabi ko kanina, energy dispersive X-ray, ay na elemental composition talaga. Pero kaya rin tumulong ng mass spectrum, ng mass spectrometry, rather. Okay, so chlorine. Again, our chlorine ay dominantly 35 siya, 75%. And yung chlorine 37, around 24%. So parang 3:1 siya. Meanwhile, yung bromine, 50.6 lang pala. Sabi ko kanina 51 na. Pero relatively 51, 49. Yung bromine, and that exists in a 1:1 ratio or specifically 1.028:1. Okay? Next question. I think class 3 na to. Okay? A molecule containing one bromine atom and one chlorine atom shows an isotope cluster at the molecular ion region, or ito yung nasa dulong part. How many distinct major peaks would you expect to see for this cluster? So, i-digest nyo yung tanong. Kaya ito yung isang part na you need to memorize. Yung ratio, yung abundance, ay kailangan i-memorize sa mass spec. And on top of the instrumentation, no, madami. Ganun talaga ang analytical chem, no? Okay, thank you. I got some answers naman, ha? Correct answer is D. 3 peaks lang. Kaya kahit, sige, interpret natin. Kapag 1 chlorine ay M plus M plus 2 lang. Kapag 2 chlorine may M plus 4 kasi pwedeng, ito ay 35-35. Ito ay 35-37. Ito ay 37-37. Punta tayo dun sa kanina. 1 chlorine, 1 bromine, di ba? Ito ay parehong lower isotope. Tapos, ito parehong higher isotopes. Dito, M plus 2, combination to ng lower plus higher isotope ng isa. Tapos yung isa, higher and lower isotope naman ng isa. Okay? Nag-overlay sila or nagpatong sila dyan. Okay? Kaya, 3 peaks lang. Okay? Question number 14, second to the last, or second to the last. The McLaughlin arrangement, I hope tama yung pagbabasa ko, is a classic fragmentation pathway in mass spectrometry. Which of the following is a prerequisite for this rearrangement to occur? Okay, so ito ay kailangan lang din na tanda. Ano meaning ng McLaughlin? Classic fragmentation pathway daw. Ibig sabihin nangyayari yan. Okay, I'm getting some answers na. Correct answer is, okay, nakuha nyo naman. C, kailangan may carbonyl and 1 gamma hydrogen. So ito ang McLaughlin rearrangement, producing this fragment over here. Okay? So for example, this occurs, ito kasi ay sample lang, no? Ito ay octane 2-on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alpha, beta, gamma. So yung gamma hydrogen ay i-abstract nung electron here, producing this fragment. May hydroxyl and then may double bond. Okay? Think ito na yung last. In the fragmentation of an amine, alpha cleavage produces a resonance stabilized cation. What is the name of this specific ion? Okay, so pala. Ay, napakita ko na naman. So sorry. Okay, iminium ion. Okay, thank you so much. So, sige, digest natin tong compound na to. Ito ay, anong name na to? 1, 2, 3, edi propyl. 1, 2, 3, 4, edi butyl. Butylpropylamine. Tama ba? Butylpropylamine. Yes. Okay. Kapag daw nag-fragment to, ay dito yung mag-chop. Chop. And then yung half electron ay lilipat dito. And then magkakaroon ng double bond. Okay, tama tayo. Magkakaroon ng double bond. So this accounts for the mass to charge ratio of 72 iminium ion. Okay? So, naghanap ako ng mass spectrum talaga nung 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Butylpropylamine. And then, nakita natin dito na yung 72 pala, ayun pala yung base peak niya. Ibig sabihin, itong iminium ion na to, ito yung most stable fragment ng sample na to, ng amine na to rather. Okay? So, I think that's it sa ating questions, no? But before I let you go, meron lang akong, I think, ano nangyari? Ay, meron pa pala. Last. Question 16. Hindi ko kasi nakikita yung next slide. Which of the following would require the highest resolving power to separate? Highest resolving power, ibig sabihin, kailangan maganda yung mass analyzer mo para magkahiwalay talaga sila. This checks comprehension din sa mass analyzer. And sa idea ng separation. Sige, wala pa nasagot. Go lang. Highest resolving power, ibig sabihin, no, mahirap ma-differentiate yung mass to charge ratio nila. Kaya kailangan maganda yung mass analyzer na gagamitin mo. Okay, sige, nakakuha naman ako ng sagot. Correct answer is C. Yung C3H8 na carbon 12 lahat versus C3H7 na yung isa ay carbon 13. Okay. So kasi dito, no, sige, compute nga natin. 12 times 3 plus 8 times 1.008. 46.064. Sige, save ko to. And then yung isa ay, sa boards naman ay meron kayong calculate. 12 times 2 plus 13 plus 7 times 1.00. 44.056 yung second compound. Yung isa, 44.064. Grabe, no, 0.0 something lang yung difference nila. So, kailangan, para ma-separate mo sila in such a way na hindi sila magpapatong sa spectrum mo, ay kailangan maganda yung pag-separate ng mass analyzer mo. Okay? So, yung mass analyzer which you should use ay, or you could use ay yung kanina, maganda yung Orbitrap. Maganda yun. High resolution mass analyzer yung Orbitrap. Although, for sure, medyo expensive siya. Okay? Okay, so, in summary, no, i-wrap up ko na yung session natin. Again, this is how a mass spectrometry block diagram looks like. Kailangan vaporize yung sample and then i-ionize natin. Kailangan charged siya kasi charged lang ang nade-detect ng ating detector. And then i-accelerate natin via electric field and then papasok tayo sa mass analyzer na to. So for this one, deflection method to, ibig sabihin magnetic sector to. Pero kung trajectory differences, edi quadrupole, tapos, and others. No? Yung Orbitrap ay yung orbit niya, and then ayun yung non-destructive, ion trap niyan. Madami pang mass analyzer. Okay? So it is through this instrumentation why we get results like this. No? Kasi this information would be very valuable to our human space exploration, specifically on our target goal, no, to eventually reach Mars. Okay, so that is the importance of mass spectrometry. Okay, I believe I am done now with my slides, and thank you very much for listening. Thank you. Sana may natutunan kayo tonight. Okay, ayan, may questions pala na. We can entertain further questions pa po. Okay, thank you po. Sige, may ano pa. Hindi ko nakikita yung comments pag may presentation. Okay. Good question, Vincent. No, pwedeng magpa-compute ng mass to charge ratio or magpa-compute ng analytical sa organic, lalo na tong mass spec, no, kasi tied siya both sa analytical and organic. Although yung instrumentation, like yung, for example, sino yung yung trajectory differences na mass analyzer, dito yung lalabas sa analytical chemistry. Okay? So please be ready sa both classical, which is the titration, and what you call this, instrumentation, like this one, yung mass spec. Kasi pwedeng magtanong ng ganun. Okay? Yung instrumentation ay marami lang talagang tatandaan. Iba pa yung mass spec sa UV-Vis, sa IR, ganun. Okay? Okay, may tanong pa po ba? Go po, tanong po. Sa amin, no, sige, share ko lang. Yung analytical chem ng boards ko ay mas ano siya, instrumentation. And I heard nung last year daw ay more on classical. Pero that doesn't mean na walang instrumentation. And that doesn't mean na walang classical nung time ko. Kasi meron pa rin. So, I suggest may aral talaga kayo sa both. Sa wet chemistry, wet chemical methods, saka dito sa advanced or modern. Pwede ba kami magdala ng periodic table? Meron bang periodic table nung time? Hindi ko but I believe meron. Actually nga, no, ang tanda akong binigay nila ay meron, nagbigay pa sila ng mismong formula. And ewan ko kung parang generic na formula. Like yung speed of light, nagbigay sila. I don't know why. So, pero don't be dependent on that. Kasi pwedeng hindi sila magbigay this year and as such. Okay, tanong pa po. Okay po, so kung wala na pong questions, I thank you again for coming to Upstep Review Center's free chem review, no? So I hope nakatulong to make up your mind for your future enrollment sa amin, sa Upstep. Okay, so thank you po. Have a good night. Thank you. And ayun pa pala, may feedback form na sinend si ma'am. Okay, thank you. Appreciated po ang comments. Okay, thank you.